Welcome to the Black Men Experiences channel. I'm your host, CP. And today's topic, this Black American man was racially terrorized, or otherwise known as anti-Black American racially terrorized. And he got his Remindment card at this chicken processing plant that he was at. Now here it is, this hardworking Black American man who was doing his things, not trying to cause trouble, people at the chicken processing plant, just showing up, doing his thing, right? And I think they say he was a supervisor. Don't quote me now. We get to that article in just a little bit. The whole point is they say he was either a supervisor or he was being passed over by other promotions. And then when they start utilizing the anti-Black American racial terrorized terminology, then you'll have people that they'll sit there and do this. When you start showing reality-based information, there are a number of people, we start speaking this racial terroristic type of terminology, or you show it, this is how some people be doing. They're like they don't see nothing. Right? They're just like this. They're like you don't see nothing on that. It was especially toward American Black men. And again, I'm not talking about coons and some sellouts and some gullible ones. Like on this particular image, you see, why is this happening 2026? In the background, right, the people. They say, we will never stop. And unfortunately, there is a number and numbers within certain sections of Black Americanism, males that do think because they have a certain job or a certain business or they have a couple little trinkets of materialistic things, they think they have arrived. And how many times have numbers in them got reminded? And yes, there are ones who fall through the crack. That just goes with the program, right? On this. But it's a sad situation because you know the culture's background is not going to ever tell their people, hey, don't you ever bring up the bad stuff that's happened to our people in this country or that country that we fled from or that we try to get away from. You're not going to tell what we call wink wink Native Americans to get over the past, even though no one tells them, hey man, why y'all still getting reparations for something that's supposed to happen 200 some years ago, right? That's when the Trail of Tears supposedly started, right? But they never tell you about the Black folks that was also on the Trail of Tears, or the Black Native Indians that was on the Trail of Tears, right? They don't sit there and talk about after the Civil War. You have what we call Black natives. What you had called supposedly Native Americans on these particular tribes that did not want to let go any kind of enslaved Black Americans or Black natives, and possibly some Black American in general slaves. You see how this goes, right? No one's going to sit there and tell what we call Jawishism personnel to get over the past and why however numbers of people still getting reparations for a holy costness that was way over there in Germany and Poland and however places. Do you understand that? But something about a Black American man, he's not supposed to talk about what consistently happens still 2026. A Black pain. God dang. Let me begin this and showing this right here.
Where does it come from? All this hatred? Do you think it might be a little more serious than missing persons?
I don't think so, boy.
Some things are worth dying for.
You admire these kids, don't you?
Don't you?
Did it ever occur to them they would end up dead?
Maybe. I'm looking for some information.
I ain't got nothing to say to you, sir.
Afternoon, ladies.
Do you honestly think you people be down here at all with one of those two white boys?
Maybe not, miss.
Where's it?
I guess he's over here.
I'm here to tell
Before that, there wasn't anybody complaining. Nobody dared.
What's wrong with these people? What's wrong with these people?
Nobody dared.
What's wrong with these people?
Mississippi burning. Black American men weren't going through this still in the 60s because they were from some place in certain parts of Africa. I don't think so. They were done like this because they were Black Americans. And hatred for Black American males goes very strong in the U.S. But they'll keep trying to tell Black Americans, especially Black American males, the ones that don't know any better, there's no such thing as racism. Just work hard. Well, this guy was working hard at this chicken processing plant. I mean, the list goes on of numbers of Black American males that, hey, they were doing anything constructively and they got racially racized, terrorized by however numbers of personnel within certain sections of the predominate culture and these other types of various groups and backgrounds and people within those groups and backgrounds, certain sections of the terms, lifestyle categories, the ones applied to, etc. How many people are against Black American males when Black American males overall don't even pay attention to all these other different people like that? God, leave, boy.
I couldn't help but note your pain. My pain, it runs deep. Share it with I couldn't help but note your pain. My pain, it runs deep. Share it with me.
But again, why is this still happening in 2026? And people in the background saying, we will never stop, Negro. Today is April 2nd, 2026. Let me go ahead and share my screen for this particular article. I'm going to read this a little bit of it on that for what I call timepiece purposes. Give me one moment. Where'd it go? Give me one moment here. Yeah, where'd it go? Give me one moment here. Various. Give me one moment here. Here we go. All right. Make sure you can see this. All right. So it says Black American worker. See, numbers of Black Americans about to stop allowing people to generically just say Black in generalness, right? And make sure when it's Black Americans, say Black American. It's the ones that try to hide under Tim Tethers that try to hide under the Black banner, but that's a different topic. Black American worker at Tyson poultry plant threatened with noose and castration a white worker, could be white adjacent worker, or could anyway, white worker who stood up, Black worker, a Black American worker at Tyson poultry plant threatened with noose and castration. But this particular small percentage within white workerism who stood up for him, and he was called an N-word lover. Man, this harkens back to some 60s. And before, when the extremely small amount of then were a certain small number within predominant-based culture of numbers of males and some numbers of women, they'll say, hey, man, this is just wrong how Black Americans being treated collectively. This is wrong. They've been called N-word lovers too. Do you understand that? That's the people that I'm talking about. But you got people that have fled over to Harvard places that have some skin of Black, the ones applies to fly under the banner of Black. This showed up out of nowhere, or showed up, as a latecomer, and many of them think they're supposed to get the benefits, or they're receiving the benefits on the generic Black banner without ever having to go through Black pain, because they've been used to sit there and replace as many as possible. I mean, it's a long way off because their numbers are not that big, right? But don't matter. They're putting those those particular tether people in positions and politicalness and HBCUs, and the list goes on, right? Another topic. So this particular small percentage of male within the Panama-based culture, you say, hey man, this is just kind of wrong. They call him N-word lover. Then both end up paying for what they reported. 2 maintenance workers at a Tyson Farms poultry plant in Ringgold, Virginia, which was one of the headquarters of the Confederacy, basically, by the way, in Virginia, said they were forced to work in unsafe conditions, subjected to severe racial harassment, and threatened with physical, and get this, sexual violence, quietness from feminism groups and the Sister of Chaos groups, quietness by openly racist white supervisors who said they wasn't racist certain numbers of white Hispanicism. See, again, that's a whole different topic in itself. Or some other ones who are adjacent or wannabes. Give me a second here. Give me a second. Okay, sorry about that. Give me a second, go back here. Who fired them after they complained, and 2 separately filed federal discrimination lawsuits. Alvin Clark, a 62-year-old black American mechanic, 60-some years old, was the highest ranking mechanic in his department and the only black American man employee on his shift most days, according to the complaint filed on March the 16th in U.S. District Court in Western District of Virginia. Hired in July 2024, he claims he was twice passed over for promotions for HVAC and electrical maintenance positions. Watch this wording. Despite being the most qualified candidate. Oh my goodness, right there, a home run. See, this is why I said the system is a brilliant system. There are so many ones with personnel within certain sections of Panama-based culture, male and female, and some adjacent ones that got the audacity nerve to say, oh, look at those black people, you know, they in these positions, they're unqualified. And you find out bull crap. There are studies that found out. Anyway, I'm going to all that, where black Americans who were beyond qualified more than the other counterparts, and they were passed over themselves, and they also had to train these other people who weren't even qualified like that to take higher positions. Oh, it happens every day. But they got the nerve to try to save black Americans. All sitting there and got their hands out. But this is what slimy type of anti-American black type personnel, this is what they're supposed to do. And this includes some tethering type people too, right? With their little disgusting little fleeing selves, right? Because I can't stand when somebody can be sneaky and they can look in your face and smile and knowing that they can't stand you, and they over here to sit there and put themselves over and replace various types of black American type people. And unfortunately, there are some gullible ones, unfortunately. Managers at the Tyson plant in Ringgold, which opened in 2023 and employs 400, told him they were looking for someone younger and blatantly told him ain't no N-word getting the job. This is why I can't stand. Additionally, the usage of the N-word, especially in public like that. Now, however personnel do away from the public, that's on however personnel. But you see how this N-word usage is diabolical. And it needs to be thrown into the trash can in various parts of space, that word. Nobody else has a word of equivalent, let alone you better not be a black American or some other culture call another culture some derogatory words. They ain't gonna have it. So how now, HELA, is it okay for the N-word to be sitting there used by various other people? Do you see how crazy that sounds? Clark reported the age and race discrimination to Tyson Human Resources Department, but no action was taken to address it, he said. After that, Tyson's white leadership or white adjacent harassed and terrorized Clark in retaliation, the lawsuit says. That included telling him they were going to stab him while brandishing knives in the plan. One manager allegedly said they were going to cut his balls off and ominously added, "We're going to do you just like Paul DeShanzo." That's not Black American. References a Black postal worker and Ringo unalive in 1990 by a white man. So he got a type of remindment then. Cut off DeShalzo's penis, put it in his mouth, godly, and shot him and lit his car on fire. And dang. But they keep trying to tell Black Americans regardless, there's no such thing as racism. Godly. Ooh-wee. Look at that part right there. Now remember now, this is 2026. Today is April the 7th, 2026. But again, they tell Black Americans to get over the past and there's no such thing as race. And when it's the conversation about reparations, then it's, oh my goodness, we had nothing to do with that back then. But they never tell that crowd to what we call Native Americans, why y'all getting reparations? They never tell that crowd to border break illegal immigrants who sit there and get a form of reparations, helping them get into hotels, free food. They never tell them, hey man, won't you stay in your own countries and places and fix your own countries by people that look like them? Nope. They never tell these various types of immigration personnel, hey man, why y'all having your country's flag outside on your yard, on your house, on your apartment door? You get the point. In their yard, I said that. You get the point, right? If it was all that, then why are you over in America? You said this goes. God, this stuff is so obvious. Mm-hmm. The plant's white leaders, or white adjacent leaders, also taunted Clark with hanging. Now remember, this is 2026, but Black Americans are told to get over the past, right? There's no such thing as racism. Nobody else is done this way. Nobody allows collectively of their people to allow people to tell them what to think and what to get over. Nobody in America allows them to accept sectionality within Black Americanism. With few exception, this is an embarrassment. It is an insult to the American Black ancestors. It is. This is an insult to even our elders at older age brackets who actually saw formal segregation. They saw it. They saw the colored signs. They knew they had to go to the back of the buildings and the restaurants. They know they couldn't stay in any kind of hotels. They know they couldn't go to any kind of swimming pools. They sit there and saw segregated state fairs. Do you understand this? But you got people that keep trying to tell Black Americans to get over the past. Even some coons and sellouts try to tell Black Americans that. Do you see how messed up these people have? This system has caused millions of Black Americans black pain. But at the same time, have no problem with helping other people out, other cultures, foreigners get reparations, help build themselves up, and foreign aid going all over different places, and Ukraine getting billions of resources. But oh well, they ain't told to hey man, get over the past. Let me read this again. The plant's white leaders also taunted Clark with hangings, either by using a drop cord dangling from the ceiling or using a forklift strap in the shape of a noose that was hung from the forks of the forklift and raised up in front of Clark. The lawsuit says, my goodness. Oh, they're making stuff up. You know, the Negroes always making stuff up, but they never tell somebody else when they bring up something about racism or anti-LGBTQ. What the hell is that supposed to mean? Because 1950s, 1960s, there was no such thing as that. Do you understand that? And what about the black LGBT people? What about them that get racially discriminated by the personnel within the predominate culture ones, the ones it applies to, and some other ones? What about that? Do you understand this game, man? It's a wow. But let's just see. Another supervisor, Chris Harris, witnessed the harassment. Oh, wait a minute now. That black man, he's probably made up stuff. You know them niggas always making up stuff. Another supervisor, Chris Harris, he must have been a black man. They just, they stick together. But of course, when this, other cultures, they say something to stick to each other, then it's no problem, right? There that goes. He witnessed the harassment of Clark firsthand and did nothing to stop it or intervene. And join in by laughing about it and encouraging it to continue. So he saw it and wanted for it to continue. Or this anti-black Americanism toward this black American male. Well, I mean, making up stuff. Matthew Reeves, a white mechanic hired 2 months before Clark, was upset about the shocking racial harassment directed at Clark and told his co-workers to stop talking that way to him and leave him alone. I know. Bless his little silly little heart. Right? Bless his little silly little heart. He thought that, this stuff don't happen anymore, right? Because in his little world, that I probably don't happen because that don't even apply. Right? Tyson's white manager then began calling Reeves the small minority of Anglo males that stand up for what is right. He called him a N-word lover and told him he needed to separate himself from Clark because Reeves' skin was not black. And he was not Clark's kind, advising him not to sit at the same table as Clark. What is this, 1960? What is this, man? Oh, and by the way, racism, hatred toward black Americans were still going on after the 60s. That's still going on in 2026, people. Huh? We can start naming names. Tamir Rice, Sandra Bland, Massey, Alton Sterling, Freddie Gray, Trayvon Martin. Do you understand how, nobody can compare it nobody in America. Nobody can compare it to the hatefulness that black Americans experience on a daily basis. And it's so bad that you got certain numbers of American blacks that have to cope in a way to act like it doesn't happen. That is some messed up, brilliant tactic. This system has messed up quite a number of black American men and women. Reeves, a born-again Christian, tried quoting religious scriptures to convince his anti-American black hateful field counterparts to stop harassing and threatening Clark. Bless his little make-believe heart. A league supervisor, Taylor Cruz, responded by mocking Reeves while using profanity and joking about standing on a Bible. How much you want to believe some of those same Anglo counterparts also would call themselves Christians? Now, that's just generic terminology, right? How many of them go to church and then turn around and show blatant anti-black American hatred? Oh, it's quite a number of them. And then you got the ones that are Anglo adjacent, that hide under generic white banner. You got other ones that are not necessarily Angloism, but another culture background, but they do all type of things to try to fix their faces, bleach their skins, all kind of stuff to try to minimize their own ethnicness of phenotype. You see how that goes, right? You see how that goes. Another pointed to a large black male employee on the cleaning crew and told Reeves the man would have his way and rop Mr. Weeds all night long. What kind of buck breaking fetishes is this? Hell, demonic fetishes is that? That they sitting up fetishizing robbing a black male. Another point to a large black male employee on the cleaning crew and told Reeves the man would have his way and rob Mr. Weeds all night long. Or should we say this fetish is this way of looking at a black male to rob this Anglo male? Oh my goodness. Some of these people are demon-like. Wow. Still another suggested someone would go in the back door of Reeves' home to have socks with or rob his wife while he was working a night shift. I mean, this is some Klan type stuff. What would you do if I broke into your house? Cruz allegedly asked him, prompting Reeves, who was rattled, to beg him not to do that. Tyson's male managers often gather to view sexually explicit images and videos of women and children, the lawsuit says. And Reeves says he spoke out against the activity and told them it was sinful. Do you see how this goes? I mean, I'm telling you, man. Oh, boy. As the situation devolved, leadership began targeting Clark and Reeves together, including one incident when Moser allegedly pulled a loaded boom boom piece of equipment on them in the plant parking lot and attempted to shoot at Clark, but the boom boom piece of equipment jammed. Reeves fled in his car after watching his white supervisors lift Mr. Clark up, pulling on his shirt. We don't have to get you now. We'll get you down the road. Tyson's white managers allegedly warned Clark and Reeves. But at the same time, they tell Black Americans there's no such thing as racism, and then laugh when that black man or black woman goes off their own business. And then you got the few amount of personnel within the Panamese culture, male and female, who they try to sit there and relay information over. But again, most of them don't. See, they don't sit there and hold their own numbers of people accountable for the various anti-Black Americanism. Look around. Do you sit there and see them demanding political figures? Let me say this again. Do you sit there and see a gigantic amount of political figures of Panamese culture being demanded by various personnel within the Panamese culture to sit there and pass a anti-Black American hate crime law bill? Nope. So some of them do give lip service, but when it comes down to it, they're not going to do nothing to demand this. Do you understand? With extreme few exceptions. Lastly, in playing this.
Out of my way. You're not supposed to be on this planet, Negro. What are you doing breathing? Where did you come from? Who created you? Who would have the nerve to create something like you? I mean, who would make that kind of mistake? You're nothing but a walking mistake. My God, deliver me. I couldn't help but note your pain. My pain, it runs deep. Share it with me.
What is going to take for more Black Americans, especially Black American males, is not up to Black American women. No matter what, don't even allow the nonsense and thinking numbers of Black American women are going to be a foundation of stopping Black pain. Are you crazy? You crazy. One or more Black American males are going to get finally tired of being bullied collectively over and over again. This is something you cannot run to any other place because still the foundation is still in America. What numbers of people think about Black Americans overall in America is what certain numbers of people think in certain other countries and places. What the ones applies to. Black American men have been some of the most patriotic people in America for centuries. Black American males have created more inventions than any other culture in this America for this time that Black Americans have been in the country. Black American males have been in the country of America, have created more inventions. Black American males have been some of the most openest people of nobody else, no other culture and background, a term lifestyle category, immigration status, border breaking, illegal immigrants. You get the point. No one's ever been the most openest for the type of male than Black American males. But unfortunately, on the flip side, no other males can compare to a certain number of gullible numbers of Black American males because there is nobody that compares to an out of rate. I don't say a rate because that's very generically. Out of the overallness, there's not an equivalent of another culture of males that have external degrees or businesses or whatever you want to call it, just materialistic things. And still there is quite a number of people within that culture, males, who tell their own other people that they don't see racism or ethnicism or you get the point, right? There is more Black American males who are doing good in America, I guess you want to call it that, materialistic wise. But at the same time, there's nobody else who has more males than Black American males who, along with having numbers of the external things, but also have found a way to do copingness with acting like racism, anti-American Blackism does not exist. And this is why also it continues to exist. Do you understand? So when a more Black American male is going to finally stand up and say they've had about enough collectively of this anti-Black Americanism, Black pain, and stop accepting, tolerating disrespect from all these other various groups and people, the ones applies to in these other categories of personnel. I thank you for tuning in to the Black Men Experiences channel.